Okay, for this assignment, we're going to be creating a monochromatic value scale. Monochromatic means that it's one color, but we're going to create different shades of that color using white and using black. You can choose any color that you want. In this demo, I'm doing blue, okay? And the first thing you need to decide is where your square of pure color is going to go. Now, if it's a darker color, you're going to have it maybe closer to the end near black. If it's a lighter color, it might be closer to white. So say if you're doing yellow, it might be right here. And if it's just kind of a medium color, it'll go in one of these middle boxes, okay? So that's the first thing I'm going to do. Now we're going to practice brush control here. Let me just focus that. I prefer to paint with flat brushes. This is a flat brush. And the reason is because it's really versatile. You can use this flat end to create really clean edges. Okay, so when I get paint, I only want a little bit of paint on the tip of my brush, okay? And when I'm painting in the squares, to maintain brush control, imagine painting with a little square, okay? So the flat end of my brush is like a little square that I just try and paint inside the lines. Okay, and it's easier if my brush is within the square, so I'm going to turn my paper around to get this other edge. When I run out of paint, I just flip it over and finish. Okay, now decide which one you're going to do first. Are you going to create your tints with white, or are you going to do the ones with black? Okay, doesn't really matter which way you go. So now what I'm going to do is create a new pile, and I'm just going to add a little bit of white. And I feel like that's probably too big of a jump. I'm going to get it lighter and lighter and lighter and lighter, but I kind of want equal steps. So I think I'm going to darken that a bit. There we go. We want it to look distinctly different from the one that was there before. And I didn't mix up enough paint, so it's kind of not wanting to spread very well. So that's another thing that we're learning in this exercise is, oh, I need to mix up more paint. Okay, so I want it to look different than the square that was there before, but not too different. Okay, like this is too big of a step, too different. But I'm just trying to add a little bit more paint. Okay, now I'll add some more white. Ooh, that was a lot of white. Now you might notice, because I'm using my brush to mix my paint, if your brush starts getting really full of paint, do you see how goobery that is? Okay, you don't need to wash out your brush with water. That just introduces water into your paint that you don't want. A paper towel and just squeezing out the extra paint is all you really need to do. And then I'm going to go pick up my color. Okay, and you'll find that when you start needing to get it really, really light, you might need to make a new pile of paint because it's hard to add enough white to get that to be light enough. Okay, now I'm going to add a little bit of blue, get my really light blue. Okay, at this point, now I'm going to use water to wash out my brush because I want to create a box of that's pure white, and I have blue in my brush, okay? So now I'm going to use water, and when you wash out your brush with water, you just gently sweep your brush along the bottom of the cup, back and forth. You don't want to stab your brush down on the bottom and really like spread out those bristles. To keep your flat brushes nice, you want to keep your bristles together. Then you just dry it off really, really well. If there's still color coming off, then your brush is not clean, okay? So you need to swirl it in the cup again. Okay, that's more closer to clean. And then you really want to squeeze out that extra water. Really just squeeze out your brush so that your paint doesn't end up watery. Oh my goodness, and I accidentally got a little bit of blue in my white. Okay, now again I'm going to wash out my brush again because now I'm going to switch to my blue and my blacks. I do not want white in my brush. From here up is blue and white, from here down is blue and black. At no point am I mixing blue with white and black. Because then basically you're mixing gray with your paint, and that's going to change the color of it, not just change the value of it. In this assignment, we're just trying to change the value. Okay, so I've washed out my brush, I've dried it really well. Okay, now with paint, probably the hardest thing with students and painting is gauging and mixing new paint colors is gauging which colors are going to be overpowered or more easily overpowered by the other one. So, but we all can tell that, you know, blue is, the black is going to easily overpower. So I'm going to start with blue, and the amount of black that I add is literally like I just dipped the corner of my brush in the paint. Okay, that did nothing. But I'd rather be more careful. And this paint's probably going to look really dark. You're probably not going to see much of a difference in this video. Okay, added a little bit more black. And that blue was so dark, I probably could have put it even one more square down. Okay, because at this point it's just going to look, these last 3 squares are just basically going to look black. But your value scale doesn't need to be perfect. It just needs to show me that you generally know how to mix colors lighter and darker, and you have a little bit of brush control. Okay, and I don't even need to wash out my brush at this point because black is so easily overpowers the blue. You're not even going to be able to tell there's any blue in this. It's, you know, like pure black. But okay, and that is how you do the first painting assignment.